actually really excited to be here. So this is my first virtual summit, and I'm actually it's actually very interesting to present in front of right now all of you. Today I'm going to talk to you about money Legos and how we at Zerion are approaching money Legos and what is wrong currently with the whole idea behind money Legos. So let's dive into that straight away. So I guess most of you have already heard about the concept of money Lego, which means, in the way we understand that, it means that all of the components of this new financial infrastructure that we're building are first interoperable, which means that we can interchange them and use one instead of the other to serve the similar purpose. They're all programmable, so the money that is actually controlled by the smart contract and not by the people. And also they're all composable, which means that all of these pieces stitch easily together. As you can see on the picture to the right, this is how it's supposed to look like. And yeah, so all of these pieces, they work really nicely together and they fit in really well. But in reality, this is the funny picture we made for the current state of the DeFi ecosystem. So this is how it looks in reality, especially from the point of view of someone like us. So we at Zerion, we exist on the user aggregation layer. So we are looking at all of these protocols from the developer's perspective. So because we're looking how to integrate all of them into Zerion. What we notice is that actually it doesn't look at all like Lego, because there are no standards in the space for making things like DeFi. All of these things, they do not work really nicely together. So we see how every protocol approaches a bunch of different things differently, which is great because we now are experimenting with different approaches, but at the same time, it creates a lot of pain for developers, and integrating protocols inside your DeFi app or your wallet becomes a nightmare, especially if you want to get more than one protocol in your product. And basic things like portfolio tracking for the users become a complete mess, and tracking historical performance is even worse as protocols roll out new updates to their systems. So this is an example of how it currently looks if you just put one example address in different wallets. So on the left, you see MetaMask, Zerion is in the middle, and to the right, it's Frontier. And it's actually very hard to find two interfaces that would show you the exact same amount of money on your wallet. All of that is not synchronized. It creates a lot of pain points for new users if even if they manage to install MetaMask account, they are not able to understand why, for instance, MetaMask shows them one balance in their account versus, let's say, Zerion shows them something else. This is completely it's very complicated, and it comes from the fact that it's very, very hard to integrate all of these protocols at once to your application or wallet. And looking at existing solutions, we currently have two major ones that have started their work in that direction to simplify integrations with different DeFi applications. So DeFi's app allows you to buy multiple different DeFi assets using in a single transaction, essentially. But they do not solve, unfortunately, the problem of tracking all of these balances. And they also develop all of these apps themselves, and which means that for new developers, if they want to enable a specific use case that is not available currently in DeFi's app, they have to do it. There's no way they can do that through DeFi's app. DeFi's market accounts by InstaDApp is a great attempt at this, but the only problem that we currently see with this is that it makes you create something that they call user wallet, which is a version of DS proxy that is pretty limiting, because otherwise it is not becoming composable with the rest of the DeFi ecosystem, because other wallets are not supporting this type of proxy. So I'm actually very excited to announce, so we have announced that like about a month ago, but we're talking about it right now. So it's DeFi SDK is our solution to that problem, to the fragmentation problem of DeFi. So essentially it is a set of open source smart contracts that allows you to integrate with the rest of the DeFi ecosystem using a single library, which is quite amazing for new DApp and wallet developers. So diving into the current architecture of DeFi SDK. So in the essence, we have the main smart contract for the DeFi SDK, and we have multiple different adapters. We call them protocol adapters for each of the protocols we have out there. So the whole purpose of an adapter is to standardize the interaction and parsing users balance for a specific DeFi protocol. So let's say we can look at the Aave. So the adapter for Aave would be able to interact with Aave protocol and also work with user balance and show what kind of assets you have locked within Aave protocol. So that allows, to going further, one extra bonus that you get with DeFi SDK is that it actually allows you to track and unwrap complex DeFi assets. So let's say we have on the left, you can see this asset, which is a C token, C DAI token that is wrapped on Uniswap. In order to understand what is actually behind the scenes, what's going on with this asset, you need to somehow know what kind of asset that is. So our DeFi SDK allows you to understand that first, it consists of some Ether, which you see on the top, and also some C DAI, which can be further unwrapped by DeFi SDK into DAI, and then you can reach the final balance and understand what's actually going on with this asset. So we currently, what is currently live is a read-only version that allows you to parse user balances, but what is coming soon is actually interacting with all of these protocols. So the structure is actually pretty simple for each of the protocols or protocol adapters. So it consists, apart from reading users balance, it consists of a deposit function and withdraw function. And this is what we learned that actually can serve and work with almost every protocol on the market. So deposit function would just be something that charges the user and puts that money into the protocol. And withdraw function is the reverse. So it will take the assets from the protocol and through the protocol adapter, give it back to the user. And DeFi SDK at no point holds, after like any transaction doesn't hold any other assets. So everything that it got through the deposit function, it would go to the protocols, and everything that went through the withdraw function would go to the user. So here's a simple example of like cross-protocol interactions that are enabled by DeFi SDK. We can see 3 different protocols here, and all of them have their adapters for DeFi SDK. And imagine a use case that someone wants to purchase a Uniswap DAI token using their C DAI locked in Compound. So the process, this transaction, if you don't have DeFi SDK, would actually become something like 6 or 7 transactions. I'm like trying to guess here, but given like all the allowances that you have to give and all the transactions to exchange DAI to Uniswap, to exchange C DAI to DAI, that would take quite a while. So with DeFi SDK, it all happens in a single transaction. So money from Compound will be withdrawing from C DAI would go to DAI. Then it would go to Compound. Half of that money would go to Compound and be exchanged to Ether. And now we can use the same, like another adapter for Uniswap pool that would deposit Ether and DAI still in the same transaction. So that's an example of how it can work. Going to the benefits for interfaces and wallets. So actually integrating with DeFi SDK provides you with a bunch of benefits because first of all, it's a single API you need to integrate and single library essentially to create DeFi transactions and track user balances across multiple DeFi protocols. So you don't have to choose between, let's say, integrating Maker, DSR, and Compound. You can all get all of that in just a single one integration. Another big benefit that is actually will be pretty important in the future is automatic upgrades. And this is important for the reasons that all of these protocols, they claim to be permissionless and like never update stuff. But as all of them are getting to their product market fit, they're iterating a lot, which means that whenever you did one integration, you'll have to maintain this integration for the next like year or so. So that means with like using DeFi SDK, you don't need to worry about that because you integrate it once, and then we worry about upgrading the protocol adapter for this specific protocol. And lastly, all new protocols that are added, and we actually see quite an expansion of these new protocols, and they're all amazing, very interesting to see and play around. So all of them will come to you at almost zero development costs, because as you have integrated with DeFi SDK, you'll get them, the protocol adapters, and your wallet or the app can work with these new protocols. So we have, as we've released that in April, we've got an amazing response from the community. We have the support for like in the majority. This is just half of the protocols that we support, and more are coming every day. In terms of interfaces and wallets, we already have 5 different products that are using DeFi SDK. So starting from Zerion, which is our own product, and these 2 things, my DeFi app, which was recently merged with Zerion, but then we use DeFi Market Cap uses DeFi SDK to understand and actually unwrap the complex derivative tokens in the DeFi, and Frontier uses that for a few new integrations. That pocket was something that recently integrated DeFi SDK. We actually were not part of that at all, so we didn't even know that they're going to do that, which is quite amazing. So we have a few open questions. So as we roll out, we got a lot of feedback from developers, and so one of the feedbacks is how do we moderate the adapters, what kind of adapters we're going to list, and what kind of governance process do we have in regards to listing all these new adapters. So we have decided for read-only adapters, we'll list essentially every adapter that is out there, but when it comes to write adapters, we'll be very careful about which ones we're listing, just to maintain the quality of all the adapters and protocols that we have in the list. And then in the future, we plan to decide on how we're going to decentralize that governance process about listing all these new adapters. The second question developers were giving us was about the prices for these for the base assets in the DeFi ecosystem, and this is something that we are currently working on. It's possible that we'll integrate things like Uniswap prices within the DeFi SDK, but as of now, it doesn't have the prices, so prices need to be fetched from elsewhere. Yeah, so that's roughly that. These are the open questions that we currently tackling. Expect the release of the DeFi SDK about like in this month or next month. In summary, so DeFi SDK is great because at first is fully on chain, so it allows you to trustlessly integrate with it. It's open source and free to use, of course. That comes from the fact that it's trustless, and we are rolling out the interactions with all these different protocols, so you'll be able to compile and mix and match whatever different protocols you want to have and different interactions you want to have for your users. And that would enable the whole premise of money Lego much easier. So yeah, I'll give you like a few seconds if you want to check out DeFi SDK on GitHub. Please scan the QR code. And follow the library. We're going to be maintaining that smart contract code. We're also planning to release a JavaScript version of a library to actually fetch the DeFi SDK much simpler if you're not very familiar with running your own node or the whole Web3 infrastructure. Yeah, we later on plan to roll out support for other languages as well, like Kotlin and Swift. Yeah, so sorry, the Discord is missing here, but if you have any questions, join our Discord. It's we're gonna be very helpful there, so we're gonna support you if you're planning to use DeFi SDK for your project or you're starting just freshly new with Ethereum. So we're happy to support you. Lastly, I wanted to show you briefly how demo looks like of the so how it looks like in the interface. So here in Zerion, you can see that we have a bunch of different assets, DeFi assets on this wallet, and all of the things like Uniswap, set protocol here, and then let's say Curve, they're all using DeFi SDK under the hood to understand what kind of assets this wallet has, and fetch the amount and balance from the smart contract. And looking at DeFi Market Cap, our recent hack that we did just a few weeks ago. This was one of the examples how we can use DeFi SDK to build something newly fresh for the DeFi ecosystem. So you can see all of these assets, they're actually quite complicated derivatives in some cases, like Curve, SUSD pool, or let's see, other interest-bearing ETH. So all of these derivatives are parsed using DeFi SDK, and now we can track the performance and market cap of all different derivative DeFi assets. So yeah, I guess this is it. Thanks so much for listening. Super excited to present it. Bye.